big story today. A Supreme Court verdict on the Ram Temple may not happen in time for next year's general elections. Today, a bench headed by the Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi said that the court will sit in the first week of January and then decide a date from when the final hearings will take place. The bench will also only be known in January. Importantly, the Chief Justice today indicated that the Ayodhya case is not a priority for the top court. When the UP Counsel Tushar Mehta pleaded for an urgent hearing, the Chief Justice said, "We have our own priorities. Whether the case will be held in January or February or March, the appropriate bench will decide." Today's hearing lasted just 4 minutes. The court ruling could spur louder demands for an ordinance which leaves the ball in the government's court. The RSS chief had recently already called for a law earlier this month in order to build a Ram temple. Well, Union Minister Giriraj Singh has sparked off controversy, saying that Hindus are losing their patience, while the Congress has called this an attempt to polarize views on the Mandir before the elections.
मुझे भय है कि अगर हिंदुओं का सब्र टूटा तो क्या होगा ये कोई नहीं कह सकता। इस पर तो विवाद होनी ही नहीं चाहिए। इस पर तो कोर्ट में जाने की जरूरत नहीं, आजादी के बाद ही बन जानी चाहिए।
नहीं, ये हिंदू समाज को परेशान करने की बात है। राम भक्तों को की परीक्षा ली जा रही है। 3.5 लाख से अधिक लोग जहां मारे गए हों, बलिदान हो गए हों, उनके परिवारों की परीक्षा ली जा रही है। आखिर धैर्य भी धारण करने की कोई सीमा तो होती है।
Every time they are threatening, we'll bring an ordinance. Do it now. Mohan Bhagwat says something when he was giving gyan to all people in Vigyan Bhavan. He said no ordinance. Then in his Dasara rally he says bring ordinance. Every Tom, Dick and Harry of BJP, RSS, BHP, BJP says, so do it. You are in power. Let us see.
Every 5 years before the election, the BJP will try to polarize views on Ram Mandir. The Congress party's position, as I understand, is the matter is before the Supreme Court, and everyone should wait until the Supreme Court decides the questions before the Supreme Court.
Well, let's play out for you that soundbite of Mohan Bhagwat, the RSS chief. This is on the 18th of October when he said that a law should be brought in by the centre in order to build a Ram temple. Is that what the centre is going to do now? That's the big question.
राजनीति नहीं आती तो मंदिर कब का बन चुका होता। सहयोग से बनता, समन्वय से बनता, सबके सहयोग से बनता, लेकिन राजनीति आ गई बीच। और इसलिए राम जन्मभूमि आंदोलन के एक सहयोगी संगठन के नाते हम कहते हैं नहीं, राम जन्मभूमि पर शीघ्रतापूर्वक राम मंदिर बनना चाहिए। ये ऐसे है, और इस प्रकरण को केवल लंबा करने के लिए जो हस्तक्षेप चले हैं, वो प्रकरण लंबा नहीं होना चाहिए, जल्दी निर्णय मिलना चाहिए। और हम कहते हैं कि सरकार कानून बनाए, कानून बनाकर मंदिर बनाए। इस मामले में हमारे संत महात्मा जो भी कदम उठाएंगे उसके साथ संग है।
Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi was in Madhya Pradesh today. He was in Ujjain. He visited the Mahakaleshwar temple there. The BJP, of course, accusing him of deliberately going to temples just ahead of elections. He then addressed a rally where he again hit out at the Prime Minister over the Rafale deal and said that the BJP's only religion is corruption. Meanwhile, the BJP is so annoyed by Rahul's temple visits again, with BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra asking that all-important question, what is Rahul Gandhi's gotra?
शिव जी के साथ जिस प्रकार का आप भ्रम की राजनीति कर रहे हैं, आपको शिव जी कभी माफ नहीं करेंगे। आप अपना गोत्र भी बताएं और हिंदुओं को भ्रमित करने की चेष्टा न करें।
Well, joining us to talk about this tonight, we have Vineet Goenka, who's a right-leaning policy analyst, the Secretary of the Centre for Knowledge Sovereignty, Aarti Jairat, senior journalist with us. Dushyant Dave, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us. We'll be joined by Mr. Owaisi and Manish Tiwari very shortly. Mr. Dave, to you first. We cannot obviously second-guess what will happen in the Supreme Court and how these timelines are going to play out. But would it be realistic to assume that if this case is now only going to come up in the first quarter of next year at some point, that it really may not be resolved before the general election?
Well, I don't think it would be proper for anyone to speculate And as the Supreme Court itself said today, that nobody should really, set its calendar. The Supreme Court is going to set its calendar, depending on the kind of, workload which is existing in January. And, I don't think it would be really proper for anyone to speculate that. Fact of the matter is that matter has been now fixed in January to decide the date, future date for hearing of the cases. So it will be naturally, sometime after January that the dates will be fixed by the Honorable Chief Justice or whichever is the appropriate bench that the Honorable Chief Justice constitutes. So I think, rather than speculate as to when it will be done, I think what the Supreme Court has indicated is that it is going to decide the matter as it decides all other matters of similar importance in its own time frame, and without being pressurized by any of the public opinion or any pressure from any quarters, including the political quarters, to hear this matter at an early date. So I think the Supreme Court has really set the stage very clear that we will do exactly what we have to do, and nobody should really tell us how to do it and when to do it.
Vineet Goenka, would you say that this has caused some anxiety in the BJP camp today, which really was hoping for an early resolution of this issue, an early verdict? And do you think that it could possibly spur the government then to either take the ordinance route or to bring a bill in parliament? And I'm going to ask Mr. Dave about how each stands, legally when a matter is on in the Supreme Court. But do you think that pressure will be there now?
See, the official stand of government or the Bharatiya Janata Party will be spoken by their respective spokesperson or the people who represent them. But I think, here I remember the old cinema of Sunny Deol where he said Tariq pe Tariq, and this has been a date after date which they say, and this shows insensitivity of the Supreme Court. Such a serious matter has been delayed. This can have repercussions. I think this could have been taken in a priority when Supreme Court can take cases like crackers on Diwali, or maybe some Omkareshwar Shivling, there should be water or not. This could have been a better case to take a priority. I also get sensitized when I see Supreme Court work in a midnight court been done for anti-nationals who are to get game. But here, when there is a case of more than 100 crore people who have faith in this, they should have taken this on the priority. So I think delaying.
So you think the Supreme Court is being insensitive?
I personally feel this could have been taken in a very urgent this thing, and it required, because this has been going on. Every time when you postpone, you give an opportunity for political party to meddle in it, and there are people who will have sentiments rising up. And why can't we discuss it? Once for all, they should discuss it, have a debate on this, the way they have driven debates on firecrackers, water on Shivling, Sabrimala, and whatever judgment comes up in the wisdom of the Supreme Court, that judgment should come up.
But can I ask you
that will rest all the case. Now what will happen is, there will be speculations.
There will be speculation. But is it right when a union minister like Giriraj Singh, says things like the patience of Hindus is running out? Isn't that borderline inflammatory actually?
I think he has a right to speak what he feels. That's the beauty of the democracy, because everybody has a right to speak what it is. We have to understand one thing. 1523, some person came up as an intruder. He encouraged the land. If you see, let us not go by sentiments of anybody or
we can't also decide the facts of the case. That's what the court has to decide.
So let me give you a fact. Archaeological Survey of India, when he did the study there, using all the techniques, deep dive studies, laser studies, that gave out for this kind of evidences, which evidences are clear that there was an existing structure which was existing more than 1,000 years before
the court has to rule on the title dispute. Yeah. I'm asking that it appears that this clearly is going to become a political issue either way. Mr. Owaisi, do you think that the government will possibly try to bring in an ordinance, take that route, or try and bring in a bill in parliament? What's your feeling?
Well, I want to challenge the government that all these nonsensical talk which they are indulging in, that they will bring an ordinance. Mohan Bhagwat said one thing when he was giving Gyan in Vigyan Bhavan, and in the Dasara speech, he said ordinance should be brought in. Where can a construction of temple be called an emergent situation? No. Will it violate Article 14 of Right to Equality? Yes. Will it violate Ismail Farooqi? Yes. Will it violate the law of the land that when a matter is pending in the last court of appeal? Yes. So on all the counts, this government cannot bring in an ordinance. If they are still stupid enough to do it, I challenge them to do it. This will clearly shows how biased they are. They do not want to run this country on the basis of constitution, but they want to run this country on the basis of religion. This country celebrates all the religions. This country even celebrates people who don't believe in religion. But it is our misfortune that BJP only believes in the Hindutva ideology, not even religion. And they want to run this country according to the ideology. And I'm really shocked and surprised that a BJP sympathizer said there will be repercussions. Are you threatening the country? What repercussions will be there? Are you going to take back this country into mid-90s? How dare you use that word repercussions? What repercussion will be there? Come on, tell us, spell out what do you mean by repercussions? Do you mean to say that if only the judgment comes in your favor, then there will be no repercussions? If the judgment is not decided early, repercussions will be there. Sir, do not use this language. You cannot cow us down. This country has to be run on the constitution, and you will be judged by the people of India on the basis of what you have done. You have made CBI a dogfight. You have failed to provide employment to the youth. You have destroyed Kashmir forever. Dollar has gone up. Petrol, diesel prices have gone up. You do not want the country to decide on these issues and vote against you. So this is a very convenient device. And may I request this spokesman of BJP, please tell Mr. Narendra Modi to make Giriraj Singh remove a capable Attorney General, make him the Attorney General. Let Giriraj Singh go to the Supreme Court in January and say that your Lordship, please do not test the patience of our ideology. Otherwise, all barriers will be broken.
All right. Just to clarify, Mr. Goenka is not an official spokesperson of the BJP, though he's sympathetic to them.
Your whole idea is to make this country into totalitarian country.
Don't be surprised if Giriraj Singh or someone else like that does end up becoming Attorney General, but that's a silly joke. Yeah, Mr. Goenka. What do you mean by repercussions? Yeah. What do you mean when you say there will be repercussions?
I will not be surprised. I agree with you.
Yeah. So this is exactly. People like Mr. Ovasis who do not talk sense and who try to polarize on the religious basis get an opportunity when this is delayed. Now what he talked about is trying to instigate religion. Now he talked about Article 14. Can I request you, sir, will you allow women to go and pray in a Sunni masjid using Article 14? Please put your position. So let me tell that. So please do not try to instigate people here. People are sensible, they are educated. Don't think they are not educated, they won't understand this. And one more thing, people like you who instigate people there in the minority take advantage of their situations. That's why I requested Supreme Court to think this earlier, take it up very early. Because people like you who live and survive on the hatred will not get a chance. The moment there is a delay, then people like you who create hatred in the society, who try to divide the society and use law as per convenience. If it is Article 14 is a touchstone, then please tell me, will you allow women to go and pray in Sunni masjid? Number 2, will you talk about triple talaq? Will you talk about halala? Will you talk about other things where we have to have gender justice? Can we use Article 14 that also? So please do not give a hate speech. And one more thing, people like you are not being taken seriously by the majority of this country, not even by the minority class who are educated and live in urban areas. So sir, my request to you is, please talk my language, let us come together, help the society to progress and not the society to go back.
No, but can I ask you that, do you favor the government bringing in a law then, as the RSS chief said?
No, that's what I said. What happens, the moment Supreme Court decides not to take a date, not to decide, then there are people who will speak in favor of building a temple. There are people like Ovasis who will try to create hatred. Then there are people who will ask this question. And if somebody answers this question of yours, then there is, if I say no, then there is a set of people who will be angry. The moment I say yes, then there are a set of people who say, oh, you don't respect Supreme Court. But let me clarify. In the case of Shah Banu, when there was a judgment given by Shah Banu, Rajiv Gandhi ji in his era gave a judgment. He overruled the judgment and gave an ordinance, and which we all accepted. Then in the case of the Dalit, this thing also, the government came out with an ordinance. So if there is a requirement, let the government use their wisdom. They will be the right people to answer. I will not be the right person to answer on their behalf. If there is a need of an ordinance, there is a need of a law, let it be there.
Okay, before I get Mr. Ovaisi to talk about that, I want to ask Aarti Jairath politically. How does this play out for the BJP? Now, there are two schools of thought. One is that if there is a decision on a Ram temple before the elections, yay, wonderful, they can say that, look, we delivered on one of our key promises. Some, however, believe that even if there is no Ram temple, it will still be a very polarizing issue that the BJP can still use. What do you think?
Well, I mean, clearly the BJP has been trying to use it to polarize even before the Supreme Court, pushed back its hearings to next year, because you had the RSS chief talking about it, you had various other people talking about it, bring a law, bring a law, bring a law. And this is before the Supreme Court hearings actually began. So, I mean, there seems to be an attempt to create an election issue out of the Ram Temple. The point is, Nidhi, you know, the BJP has been trying to flog this Ram Temple issue for 30 years now. You know, how much longer are they going to flog it? And I don't know how much traction. Yes, I think it has traction among a certain set of people, but does it have larger national traction in a country where, you know, you're facing so many economic problems, so many employment problems, agrarian problems, all kinds of problems? I mean, does the Ram Temple today have that kind of traction that it had in the 1990s when it first started as a movement? I personally don't believe it does. And if the BJP wants to use it as an election issue, they have to actually deliver on the promise. That is, they have to lay the first brick. So you think it's only
advantage BJP if they actually are able to get a verdict in favor of a Ram Temple?
If they're able to start building the temple.
Manish Tiwari, what would the Congress do, you know, if there was a bill asking for the construction of a Ram Temple? What would you do in Parliament?
Well, Nidhi, I think there is a basic misunderstanding of what the issues are in this particular matter. What is before the Supreme Court is not the question of constructing the Ram Temple or reconstructing the structure which was demolished on the 6th of December 1992. What is before the Supreme Court is the title suit as to who has ownership over that particular piece of land. And if you were to rewind back to 1992, the then Narasimha Rao government brought an ordinance in which that 2.77 acres which is disputed already vests in the central government. It was followed up by an act which was notified on the 7th of January 1993, which is called the Ayodhya and Certain Areas Acquisition Act, if I remember it correctly, through the top of my head, and that ratified the ordinance. So therefore, what ordinance are you going to bring now? There is no ordinance to be brought, because insofar as that land is concerned, that land vests in the central government. The dispute with regard to who is the owner of that land is pending in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said that we will decide our own calendar. Nobody has the right to possibly decide our own calendar. So what ordinance are you going to bring?